There is something that has been waiting just beyond the silence, and even though you have sensed it many times, you have never been able to fully place your hand on it. You have felt it in those quiet moments when your heart suddenly became restless without explanation. You have felt it in the middle of ordinary days when a memory appeared from nowhere and refused to leave. You have felt it every time you tried to convince yourself that everything was finished, only to discover that something deep inside you continued to hope despite every reason to let go. That hope was never foolish. It was never a weakness. It was the part of you that could hear what your mind could not understand. Someone is preparing to speak with complete honesty, and the truth they carry has become too heavy to hide any longer. It has lived inside them through sleepless nights, moments of regret, and countless conversations they have had only within themselves. They have replayed every choice, every misunderstanding, every missed opportunity. They have imagined what they would say if they ever had another chance to stand before you without fear, without pride, and without pretending that nothing happened. The words have changed over time because they have changed over time. Once, they wanted to defend themselves. They wanted to explain every decision and justify every silence. They believed that if only you understood their circumstances, everything would somehow make sense. But life has a way of stripping away every excuse until only the truth remains. Now they understand that explanations cannot erase pain. They know that silence has consequences. They know that distance leaves scars. Most of all, they know that love cannot survive forever on assumptions. The truth they are carrying is not something they suddenly discovered overnight. It has been growing inside them little by little, shaped by every experience they have had since the two of you drifted apart. Every success felt incomplete because someone important was missing. Every celebration carried an invisible emptiness. Every new beginning reminded them of something unfinished. People around them noticed changes they could not explain. They smiled less. They became quieter. They stopped pretending that achievements alone could satisfy the deepest parts of the heart. What they once believed was freedom eventually felt like loneliness. What they thought was independence slowly became isolation. The walls they built for protection became the very prison they could not escape. There comes a point in every person's life when pretending becomes more exhausting than telling the truth. That moment has arrived. You may not expect it because so much time has passed. You may have convinced yourself that certain chapters were permanently closed. You may have learned to function without the answers you once desperately wanted. Perhaps you even stopped asking the questions because asking them hurt too much. Yet the universe has a remarkable way of bringing unfinished conversations back into the light, not to reopen old wounds, not to repeat old cycles, but to finally release what has remained trapped for far too long. The person who is preparing to speak understands something now that they could never have understood before. Love is not proven by running away from difficult conversations. Love is not demonstrated by disappearing whenever fear appears. Love is not measured by words left unsaid. Real love becomes visible when someone is willing to stand in complete vulnerability, knowing they may not receive the answer they hope for. That is where they are now. No masks, no games, no carefully constructed image, just honesty. They have spent so much energy trying to appear strong that they forgot strength has very little to do with hiding emotions. Real strength is admitting mistakes without demanding immediate forgiveness. It is accepting responsibility without expecting applause. It is standing before another person with an open heart, fully aware that rejection is possible. This realization has humbled them, it has transformed them, it has broken apart the version of themselves that believed pride was protection. Perhaps you have noticed subtle signs already. Maybe certain memories have become stronger. Maybe dreams have become unusually vivid. Maybe songs you had forgotten suddenly seem to follow you wherever you go. Maybe familiar emotions appear without warning and disappear just as quickly. These moments are not asking you to force anything. They are simply reminders that some connections continue speaking beneath the surface long after words have stopped. The coming truth is not designed to create confusion. It is meant to replace confusion with clarity. For too long, both hearts have carried incomplete stories. You knew only your side of the silence. They knew only their side of the fear. Neither side possessed the whole picture. Now that picture is beginning to reveal itself. The confession that has been building is larger than a simple apology. It is an acknowledgement of everything that remained hidden, the fear they never admitted, the insecurity they disguised as distance, the vulnerability they confused with weakness, the love they tried to suppress because they believed it made them less powerful. Ironically, suppressing that love only made it stronger. Time has a strange way of revealing what truly matters. Things that once seemed urgent lose their importance. Arguments become insignificant, ego becomes exhausting, competition becomes meaningless. Only genuine connection continues to matter. That realization has changed their priorities completely. They no longer care about being right, they care about being real. They no longer wish to protect an image, they wish to protect what is authentic. The truth they carry will surprise you because it comes without manipulation. There is no hidden agenda, no attempt to control your emotions, no expectation that everything should immediately return to what it once was. Instead, there is a quiet acceptance that whatever happens next must be built on honesty rather than illusion. They understand they cannot erase yesterday, but they can choose how they show up today. That choice changes everything. You have also changed. You are no longer the same person who once waited endlessly for explanations that never came. Life has strengthened you. Disappointment taught you resilience. Silence taught you independence. Heartbreak taught you wisdom. You discovered parts of yourself that may never have emerged if everything had unfolded according to your original expectations. There were moments when you questioned your worth, moments when you wondered if you had imagined everything. Moments when you believed that perhaps your heart had simply created a story that was never real. Those doubts are beginning to dissolve, not because someone else is validating your feelings, but because truth always finds its way into the light eventually. Nothing genuine can remain hidden forever. It may take months. It may take years. But reality has a remarkable persistence. Eventually every mask grows too heavy to wear, every false story becomes impossible to maintain, Every avoided conversation waits patiently for the moment courage finally becomes greater than fear. That moment is approaching, when the truth is finally spoken. It may not sound dramatic. It may not arrive with grand speeches or impossible promises. Sometimes the most life-changing words are the simplest ones. I was afraid. I was wrong. I never stopped caring. Should have told you sooner. I finally understand. Simple words, honest words, powerful because they are no longer hiding behind pride. There is freedom in hearing what your heart has long suspected. There is peace in finally understanding what once felt impossible to explain. Even if the journey ahead unfolds differently than either of you once imagined, clarity itself becomes a gift. It allows old questions to rest. It allows unnecessary burdens to fall away. It allows both hearts to move forward with truth instead of uncertainty. That is why this moment matters so deeply. It is not simply about hearing someone's confession. It is about witnessing the transformation that made such honesty possible in the first place. People can spend years running from themselves. Eventually, however, they either continue running forever or they stop, turn around, and face everything they tried to leave behind. This time, they are no longer running. They are finally ready to face the truth, and to trust that whatever comes after honesty will be stronger than anything fear could ever create.